Hey everybody, it's Star Wars week, so we're walking and we're talking about Star Wars today. Star Wars comics. So Star Wars comics have existed for a really long time, so I'm not going to talk about all of them. We just wouldn't have the time. I think it was the 70s. They were done by Marvel for a long time, and then Dark Horse did them throughout the 90s and the 2000s forever, and now Marvel is doing them again because Disney owns Star Wars. So, I mean, the publishing rights have been going on for different companies forever. But there are so many good Star Wars comic books out there. So I felt like, since it's Star Wars week and we talk about comics on these walks, we should talk about Star Wars comics. So just the current ones I'll talk about first. I love the current run of Star Wars comics. They are really good. The Darth Vader comic book that comes out, if it's a week where there's a Darth Vader comic book released, it's the first I read of the week. I love it. The most recent story has Padme's handmaiden, Sabe, coming back. And spoilers, in case someone wants to read this and not get spoiled, there's going to be a couple of story elements I'm going to talk about. Sabe knows that Darth Vader is Anakin and is trying to, like, avenge Padme's death, and then she winds up working with Vader and almost joining him. So it's an ongoing story, but it is really a cool story. So that's one cool thing that's going on. The main Star Wars book itself takes place in between movies. So like volume 1 of that main Star Wars book was in between A New Hope and Empire. The current run right now is in between Empire and Return of the Jedi. So it has Luke learning how to be a Jedi. It has him getting his lightsaber, his green lightsaber, and how does he come across the crystal and all that. How does Leia make the plan to rescue Han from Jabba, right? So it's just so much cool stuff because it's filling in these gaps that the movies were never going to fill in. So I love it. They have a bounty hunters book that follows all the different bounty hunters. There's they introduces cool characters like Dr. Aphra is a cool character. So there's just a lot of Star Wars content being produced in the comics right now. There's a Mandalorian book retelling some of the show. There's just a ton. They do individual books too sometimes where they're like one-shots of different characters, like a Jabba. They have a Han Solo and Chewie book following the adventures of them, and one of them has a character that may or may not be Han's father. I won't spoil the ending, but it's an interesting couple of issues there. So I think if you're a Star Wars fan, you would be remiss to not check out these books that Disney/Marvel is producing. And those are the books of the characters that we know, right? But they also have a whole line of comic books based on the New Republic or the High Republic, and it's set in the past. So it's all new. It's world building for stuff we've never seen before, with the exception of like Yoda, because he's so old he could be in it. But it's mostly new characters, different takes on things, more mythology. It's just really cool to see the Star Wars universe built that way. And they're some of my favorite comic books when they do get released. So I would say check those out. And then the older ones too are considered legends now. They're not part of canon. They're considered legends. The Dark Horse ones, and there's some good stuff there. They have a lot of interesting stuff with the prequel characters because they were publishing the books when the prequels came out, and they're not canon to the actual Star Wars adventures the way the Marvel books now are, but it's still good to read some of them. There's a Thrawn trilogy that's made into comics, and it's fantastic. So I think, this is Star Wars week, right? You have May the 4th be with you. You have Revenge of the 5th. This is the May, right? So you got to read these Star Wars comic books this weekend. They're great. And most of them, if you have like Comixology or the Marvel app, you can read them for real cheap, or in some cases free if you have like Comixology Unlimited. No reason not to check it out. If you're a comic fan, you're already using these apps, might as well. Or find a comic book store, buy the actual physical copy. That's really the move, right? Holding the comic book is always better than digital, but for lack of storage space and ease of acquiring said comic book, digital is not a bad option, and you could get this stuff for real cheap. Check it out, man. I know this is a quick walk today, but I felt like for a Star Wars week, I had to talk some about some of my favorite Star Wars comic books. So thanks for heading out with me. It's hot out today. It's like Mustafar hot out here in Levittown today. I'm sweating on this walk, but I don't think I'm as huffing and puffing, so the walking's working. May the force be with you, everyone. I'll talk to you later. Bye.